No need for a script on this one. Yet again, the Yankees are in a mid-season crisis. This season is more important than any of the others that have preceded it in Aaron Boone's reign so far. And Brian Cashman knows this. That's why he's with the team down in Tampa. No time to waste on this one. No need for a script. Let's talk Yankees and let's talk baseball. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Baseball. I'm your host Tom Scholes, and for the past month or so I've been engulfed in the European Championships for work purposes, and as you can probably tell by the state of my eyes in comparison to previous videos, I am a little bit tired. That being said, the one relief of working every day during an international football tournament is that I don't have to be subjected to the utter dross that is being trotted out by the New York Yankees, Aaron Boone and the rest of them. There has been a horrendous slump for the past month or so. They are now in a 6-17 slump. It's the third straight season where the Yankees have gone through a stretch where they have lost 15 of a 20-game stretch. 15 games lost out of 20 against teams like the Red Sox, teams like the Reds on the 4th of July. They were swept by the Reds. Swept! It's a shambles, it's a farce, and this season it's more of a farce than any others before that has preceded it. For one simple reason: Juan Soto. Not saying that this guy is the be-all and end-all, but there is a difference in the team when this guy is in your ranks. There's been a lot of conjecture about the way the roster has been structured this year and previous years by Brian Cashman and the front office, and that is a conversation for later on in this video. But one thing I want to make clear is there is going to be a lot of people in that organisation that are going to try a little bit harder because Juan Soto is in the team. He's in the team. This is your year to convince arguably the best player in the league, or certainly the top 5 players in the league, to be a part of your organisation for technically the rest of his career. So far, we haven't seen anything in the past 20 games that would convince him to stay in the pinstripes in New York. I don't know where he would go, and that's a conversation for another time later on in the season. But this organisation has problems that are embedded deep inside that I don't think the fans have any faith is going to change anytime soon. Brian Cashman is down in Tampa with the team ahead of their now ongoing series against the Tampa Bay Rays. And this is what Cashman said. Because of how we've played, I've decided to join us. He said this on Tuesday before the game against the Rays, which is now, my earlier stat was wrong. It is now 16 losses in 21 games, which is a disgrace. Carlos Rodon gave up 4 innings in the first. Carlos Rodon gave up 4 runs in the first inning, and 4th place in the American League East. Tampa Bay Rays won 5-3. Hal Steinbrenner was also there, which kind of gives you an idea of what the feeling is around the place. Apparently Cashman had already planned to be in Tampa ahead of next week's first-year player draft. And when he was talking about the Yankees and the fact that they have the worst MLB record since June 15th, this is what he said. It's been a struggle, obviously. Thankfully, we got out of the gates really strong, so hopefully that cushion will allow us to work through this sooner than later, because it's gone on long enough. I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to stop it right there for a second. What do you mean the cushion allows you to work through this? The cushion is irrelevant. The cushion is something you build upon. The cushion is not a cushion. The cushion is a foundation that you build a strong house on. Clearly, they don't see it like that. Clearly, they see it as, oh, it's fine. It's fine. We can lose because we've got a great head start. Oh, we're behind the Orioles? Oh, are we? Well, it's fine. We've got a cushion. I mean, with 3 games behind the Orioles, because it could have been 10. Could have been 10. But you know why it wasn't 10? Because we got a cushion. Who cares? Who cares about what happened at the beginning of the season? The beginning of the season was good. Players were hitting very well. The pitchers stepped up in the absence of Garrett Cole. Let's be perfectly honest, a relatively bang average rotation, a awful bullpen, and a closer that, whilst he has analytically incredible numbers, at least prior to this stretch, had fantastic numbers, is a guy that, personally, and I know I'm not alone in thinking this, he is a guy that when he is on the mound, you have no faith in his pitches. It could either be a swing and a miss and all crisis is averted, or it could be a home run out of the park. You just never know. So that's the cushion. They are 3 games behind the Orioles. They are 6.5. The Red Sox are 6.5 games behind the Orioles, so they're closing in quicker than perhaps anybody expected. And I think this is indicative of what Cashman's reign with the team has been like in recent years, in the sense that yet again there is a slump. Yet again there is an issue with the team and who is performing well at the right moments. Clearly, this is an issue that he's just not asked about, basically. He pretends he's asked, but he's not. Because if he was, he'd be saying stronger things than this. Boone, for all of his faults, is not the guy for this job. Because year after year after year, this happens. Every single year. Is this guy the guy to lead them to a World Series? God, no. Absolutely not. Has the roster over the course of his reign been constructed to win a World Series? Clearly not. Because you look at the acquisitions that could have been had in terms of, and this is another issue with the front office. Another issue with the front office is how they evaluate their prospects. And it was a miracle that they made the trade for Juan Soto when they did, because it was very un-Cashman-like now to go and do that. You look at the players they could have had if they'd have traded some of their prospects. You look at Justin Verlander. You look at Luis Castillo from the Reds. You look at, they could have had Garrett Cole for when the Astros did, because they didn't make the leap. And ultimately, I'm always in the camp of, it's quite easy to look back at trades that happened and go, oh, well, if they'd have traded this prospect who never turned out to be anything, that happens. Sometimes you trade away a top prospect who fails. Sometimes you trade away a guy that you had no faith in who becomes an absolute superstar. Sometimes these things happen. Ultimately, it boils down to the fact that every player that the Yankees didn't trade away for a star player that would have made them better immediately, every prospect they didn't trade away has either been awful or average. Someone like, and I don't want to batter him too much because I am a fan of him, Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe is the kind of guy that is fine. He's the textbook definition of fine. Nothing more, nothing less. Very good defensively, I think. He's got a gold glove to show for it. Very impressive in that regard. But he's not proven to be... Again, this is all a hypothetical situation. But if the Reds and Luis Castillo were like, yeah, we'll give you Castillo if you give us Volpe and someone else, has he proven to be good enough to kind of be like, no, we're not making that trade ever? I don't think he has. Clearly, the Yankees think he is, and hence why they've kept him. I don't know. But the development of the players within the system has been terrible. You will go through players like Perazza, like Cabrera, like Wells, like Volpe, like Andujar, like Frazier, who are players that were touted highly, who haven't lived up to the expectation that the organisation put on them. And because the organisation were like, these guys are cornerstones of our team. And in an ideal world they are. Miguel Andujar was a very good player for like a season or two. And now he's just vanished. Estevan Florio was another one. My fear is that Jason Dominguez is going to be another one. But from what we have seen from him in the majors so far, he seems to be a bit of an exception that proves the rule. And I don't know. I think the problem that comes with it is these are mistakes that fans have been seeing every single year. Aaron Boone was made manager in 2018. He's now in his 6th year with the organisation. Well, 2018 was his first season. He's now in his... You know what I mean. And whilst he seems like a nice enough guy, and whilst he seems knowledgeable about the game enough, he's not a winner. He's not the guy that gets you over the edge. He's not the guy that... And I don't like making this comparison because it highlights what the other teams are doing and everything like that, but he's not Alex Cora. Alex Cora has got a Red Sox roster that was deemed horrendous at the beginning of the season. 3rd place in the American League East, arguably the toughest in all of baseball. Because what he's managed to do, he has managed to get a team that is playing above its own ability, because that's the kind of manager he is. Can Aaron Boone do that? Would you attribute that talent to Aaron Boone? No, because when your best player is regularly Aaron Judge, it's a bit like that's meant to happen. That's his job. I don't know. I just think it's annoying to see because you can. It's even more annoying because you can see them as a fan from the outside that these things are just not working. They're just not working, and a brick wall has been hit yet again for the 3rd season in a row, and it's infuriating from our point of view to be able to sit there and kind of watch it all play out hopelessly because you know that no one in that organisation cares. No, I take it back. They do care. They're just not capable enough to change it. We know what's going to happen at the end of the season. Boone's gone. Boone's going to go because it's the final year of his deal. They're probably going to appoint someone like Don Mattingly because he's a fan favourite and everything like that. I'd like to see them be a bit braver than that, but we know what's going to happen regarding the management. We also kind of know what's going to happen with Cashman. The only way that guy's not going to have that job is if he doesn't want the job. There's a very, very, very high chance he's never going to be sacked. And as a fan, you do look at that with a bit of despair. You look at the lineup that he's created. You look at the roster that he's created and kind of gone, not really doing your job here, are you, Brian? They were without Garrett Cole for a long period of time, and the bullpen, the rotation reacted very well. And Carlos Rodon is a guy that is good until he's not, and then he becomes terrible. Lewis Hill is a guy that was very good in the first half of the season and is now terrible. Same with Cortez. And I think that the jump between the two has been too drastic, where I think the Rodon's performance against the Rays last evening was a very good example of this, where he started off horrendously and then performed very well, but the damage had already been done, coupled with the fact the offense just cannot do anything at the moment outside of Aaron Judge. Stanton has proven to be a guy that was more important than I think many people realised, which is very odd because you never really expected it. He's been out since June 23rd. He's probably going to be back after the All-Star break and probably around the trade deadline. Brian Cashman also said, "We're going to be open-minded to a lot of different things regarding trades before the trade deadline on July 30th. I'm not going to point out anything specific, but we definitely have areas to improve upon and we'll do our best. We've just got to figure our way through this ourselves, and hopefully we can add some pieces at some point." As the USA Today article says, adding a swing and miss element to the bullpen is one avenue to pursue, and the Yankees should continue to explore corner infield options and possibly a starting pitcher. Yes, they definitely should. Because whilst Ben Rice has come in and I think has deputised very well, third base is a complete travesty. DJ LeMahieu is not the guy that he once was, and everybody that seems to fit in and slot into that area has not performed very well at all for a consistent period of time. Starting pitching is now become terrible, but at one point in time was the best in the league. And This is the confusing thing about this team. The drastic nature of being statistically, in every aspect, the best team in the sport. They went from the very top, seemingly overnight, to the bottom. No idea what's happened, no idea what's caused it. It leads me to believe, and this is purely theory, that something has happened behind the scenes to cause this issue. Because there is no reason for these players who were clearly very good at the beginning of the year to now have fallen completely off of a cliff. I don't understand what's happened. I don't understand it. Carlos Rodon said, I need to be better, and he's now 0-5 in his last 5 starts with an ERA of 10.57, or 27 earned runs in 23 innings with 36 hits allowed. That is pathetic, quite frankly. He threw 46 fastballs, 26 changeups, 13 sliders, and 10 curveballs in his 95-pitch outing on Tuesday evening, with the cutter missing from his arsenal. He gave up 4 hits to the first 4 batters he faced, including Isaac Paredes' 3-run home run on a 96 mile an hour 1-0 fastball. It's the 8th homer he's given up in his last 5 starts. And it's just the same story every time. It starts with me, said Aaron Boone. I filter into the coaches, and it's about us trying to get these guys prepared the best we can, setting a tone with how we present ourselves. Goodness gracious me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. And neither do they. And it's just sad because there was so much hope for this year as the season went on. As the season went on, it became evident that this team seemed different. There was a different energy around the place. Verdugo was hitting well. Rizzo was maybe not producing the way that was expected, but he was providing a good presence. He was a good locker room presence. Soto had made a difference. Judge was continuing to be historically good. The rotation was sickeningly good and surprisingly good, and that's just all completely gone. And it's now a case of they've gone from how can we get to the World Series to how can we get to first place in the American League East. And it's just, you then have to look at how do they resolve this situation. Trade is going to be the most likely thing that happens. Jeff Passan said, at the very least, the Yankees should get a bat-first infielder. The Los Angeles Angels' Luis Rengifo fits, though the hand injury that sent him to the injured list is alarming and untimely, and a late-inning reliever a la Miami's Tanner Scott or the Angels closer Carlos Estevez, who has issued 1 intentional walk in 27 innings this season. At this point, just go with it. Just try it. Because ultimately, something needs to happen. And whilst the things that the fans want to happen and need to happen won't happen, trades are all that's going to do it, and you've got to hope that everyone just pulls themselves together. Because at the end of the day, Aaron Boone isn't the guy, but he's going nowhere until the end of the season. Brian Cashman's going nowhere until he doesn't want the job. And people don't want to work with him. They don't want to trade with him because they know what he's like. And when he was in his prime, all of those people are gone. There is a new wave of building a team now. And I don't think he's capable of doing that. And it's really annoying. It's really annoying. Because there was such optimism. Such optimism. I've just gone on to the Bronx Pinstripes website, and there is a featured piece from 12 months ago titled, "Is the Slump Busted?" That's from 12 months ago. I'm going to find some tweets as well that kind of sum up exactly what's happened. So these are two from Yankees Analytics Nerd, or at Yankees Nerd on Twitter. There are 4 truths which Yankees fans should not let anybody gaslight them into believing they're not true. Number 1, Aaron Boone is not a good manager. Number 2, Brian Cashman will never be fired, even if he deserves it. Number 3, Clay Holmes is not a great closer. And number 4, booing players is perfectly normal. The first 3 we've touched upon. The fourth one is a case-by-case basis. I think you boo players if they've done something really bad, but if it's a performance-related thing, I don't see how booing can help them. Another thing that they tweeted was, under Boone, the Yankees' lows are very low and they drag on. 2018, they started 50-22, then went 18-19. 2020, in the COVID-shortened season, they started 16-6, then went 5-15. 2021, started 28-19, then went 23-28. 2022, started 61-23, then went 18-31. 2023 started 36-25, then went 26-43. 2024, they have started 49-21, and as of July 8th, they were 6-16. Sometimes things happen. Baseball is arguably the most unpredictable sport of the lot, because anything can happen. But to have this happen every year of his reign says to me that the problem is not just a one-off. This has happened every year. There has been slumps every single year. And I thought maybe this was different. Maybe I was deluded enough to think that this team could hang it with the best of them. It's a disgrace, quite frankly. It's horrendous. The Red Sox have gained 10.5 games on the Yankees since their first game against each other on June 14th. All I'm saying is, all of this started after I visited them, so maybe I am a curse. I jokingly tweeted that I am a curse, but maybe I am. I just think Brandon Tierney on July 8th of WFAN tweeted this. The Yankees have been built poorly for years. That's on Cashman. The Yankees no longer play hard. That's on Boone. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And I don't know, it just makes me look at it and think, Aaron Boone's going nowhere, so there's no point in tweeting that. Should he go? That's a different question. He won't go anywhere. And you then have a situation where they become a laughingstock, and then everything goes to pot, and Soto goes, and the fans revolt, and we're back to square one, and it's terrible, and the off-season is and it's impossible. I think the difference between this sport and any other is because there are so many games and it lasts for so long, you can dwell on things. You can dwell on stretches for longer than most other teams because you know what's going to happen, especially when you've been through this for 8 years. And no, firing Joe Girardi was not a good idea, but it wouldn't have helped them because it wasn't the direction they wanted to go in. God, I hate this team. I love them, but I hate them. I'm just so glad that England are in a semi-final of a European competition. So glad, because it means I don't have to be subjected to this nonsense. It means I can just relax and watch another one of my teams lose. And by the time you've read this, they probably have. Read this? Watch this. And it's like, Girardi had lost the clubhouse. He was never going to come back. Boone's probably going to not come back as well. But do you trust this team? Do you trust this team, this organisation, to find a suitable replacement? Because I sure as hell don't. And neither should you. Because they haven't done anything to give off the vibe of something's going to change. It's the same nonsense every single time. And we put up with it. Because people still go. People still cheer. And they know this. And the one year they had something to do, the one year they had something to deliver on, with the Juan Soto year, where everybody probably plays a little bit harder, it's gone already. In 6 months' time, they might be champions of Major League Baseball, and I might be sitting here laughing and loving it and saying everything was all right forever. But the fact of the matter is, right now, it's bad, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. It's bad, and it is not going to get better anytime soon. Because they've got Tampa to come up at the moment, and then they have to go to Baltimore to face the Orioles, who are like a super team at the moment. And then you got the All-Star break to dwell on it. Come on, man. Come on. By the time the All-Star game comes around, Christ knows what position they're going to be in. Anyway, I'm going to have to cut this short because I said it was only going to be a short one, but it isn't a short one because you can't just pin everything into a short one. Ultimately, the fact of the matter is, Aaron Boone is not the guy to lead this team forward. I don't know who is, but I'm telling you, is not him. Brian Cashman should have been fired many moons ago. He should not be constructing this roster. Hal Steinbrenner will put his money where his mouth is when he believes that is the case. So whilst he's the head of the snake, he isn't responsible for everything that's gone wrong, in my opinion. The roster has been performing higher than anybody expected, and perhaps is now showing it was a flawed roster in the first place. What happens now? Well, they're not as built. They're not as good as the Orioles. They're not built as well as the Orioles. They're not playing as hard as the Red Sox. So let's say they get into the playoffs in the first for a split second. Are they going to be better than any of the other teams they faced up against there? Probably not. It's a really bleak time to be a fan right now. And yes, it might seem like an overreaction. And yes, it probably is an overreaction. But forgive me here. I went into the past couple of months thinking my team was the best team in the league, going to win the World Series. Now all of a sudden they can't win a game against themselves. It's unbelievable. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you for watching. It's been very good to be back in this situation. Just a shame that the circumstances weren't better. Thank you for watching. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment if you have anything you agree with. Keep an eye out on the short form platforms for more content. This has been Let's Talk Baseball, and thank you for watching.